All right, we have discussed subtracting with regrouping. You guys did a great job of using fantastic vocabulary to describe the steps. We're going to look at some tricky problems that involve subtracting across zeros and what do we do when we have to regroup with nothing to start with. So here we go. So if I first started with the problem 305 minus 14. Okay, clearly 14 is less than 305, so I know it can be done. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to start in the ones column as always, and I see that 5 minus 4 is 1. And then I have to come over here and I see that 0 minus 1 I can't do. So I look next door, I regroup, my hundreds becomes a 2, but what do I do with my 10? I don't have a number that I can add to. Well, all you're doing is you're moving those 10 tens over. So if you started with 0 tens and you add those 10 tens to it, what do you get? You should have said 10 tens. So I would have 10 here instead of 0. And now I would take 10 minus 1 is 9. And then my 2 minus my invisible 0 is 2. So my answer would be 291. Okay, this time I'm going to make it a little harder. So if I have 300 minus 253. Now clearly 253 is less than 300, but now I've got to figure out, oh my gosh, I have 2 zeros there. What am I going to do? So if I have 0 minus 3, I can't do that. So I look next door. Well, I have 0 here, so there's nothing that I can take away to regroup from. So I have to go all the way to my hundreds value, and I regroup from there, so that becomes 200. I move my 10 tens over here, and now I have to regroup from that, and I am left with 9, and I regroup this to be my 10 ones. Okay, so what I did was I moved over 10 tens. Okay, and then I took one of those tens and I made it into 10 ones. Okay, so now I can subtract and let's see if it works. So now I take my 10 minus my 3 and I have 7. I have 9 minus 5, which is 4. And I have 2 minus 2, which is 0. So I don't have to write anything. Now let's remember that our answer here is 47, because that's going to be important. I'm going to show you another way that's a little bit easier to understand. Okay, so I had 300 minus 253. Now I'm going to show you another way that works just as easily. If I have to subtract a hundreds number, so here you see that I have 2 zeros that end my number. That's going to be really hard to subtract with. So what we do instead is we're going to put a box around this number here. Okay, and that number becomes 1 less. So what you have here is what? 30. What's 1 less than 30? It should be 29. So I'm going to put a 29 up here, and I know that's really hard to see. And then I'm going to regroup my ones over here, and it's going to become 10. Okay? Now, when I take 10 minus 3, I get my 7. When I take my 9 minus my 5, I get 4. And when I take my 2 minus my 2, I get 0. So my answer, once again, is 47. Okay, I want you to try a problem on your own, and you can choose to use either the box method or regrouping across zeros, if that makes more sense to you. So you use the method that works for you, and I want you to subtract 500 minus 231. Okay, so take a couple of seconds and work through that. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we can make of this. I know this is hard and it's a new skill, so don't fret if you're still struggling. But what we're going to do is we're going to take 0 minus 1, which we can't do. Can I take 0 minus 3? Okay, I can't do that either. Well, I wouldn't want to do that. So what I'm looking at is I need to come all the way over here to the 5. And I need to regroup from the 5. So I'm going to take 1 away. I'm going to move my 10 tens over. So this number becomes 10. And then I have to move one of those over again. So it becomes 9. And then this number becomes 10. Okay, so then I can take 10 minus 1, which is 9. I can take 9 minus 3, which is 6. And then I can take 4 minus 2, which is 2. My answer is 269. Now let's try it with the box method and see if it makes as much sense. So let's do 500 minus 231. I'm going to do my box around 50. Then I'm going to take 1 less than 50, and that's 49. And then this number becomes 10. Okay. So then I take 10 minus 1, and I get 9. I take 9 minus 3, and I get 6. I take 4 minus 2, and I get 2. It checks out, and it's the same answer. So either way that you choose to do it works, but you have to use one of those two. Okay? Alright, that's all I have for you in this video. It's a quick cheat code for subtracting across zeros because I've noticed that some of us are panicking when we find that there's a 0. You just treat it as any other digit, and then you can add your 10 either 1s or 10 10s to it to get the value that you can then regroup from. Alright, we will practice this some more in class, and I look forward to seeing you soon.